Namaskar, good evening. You're watching Breaking Ground and I'm Swati Joshi. First up, let me tell you what is the top focus at 5. There's more proof that has come out now of India's precision strikes on Pakistan that in fact busts Pakistan's propaganda, the narrative and the fakery that Pakistan is peddling. Next, we'll focus on the Chinese propaganda machinery, which is on an overdrive. And on deep dive, we'll find out what India is doing to choke Pakistan's all-weather friends' lies. And later, in Janata's Take, we'll find out what's your stand on the boycott Turkey chorus in the wake of Operation Sindoor. Let's now get you all these angles in detail. With each passing day, more and more evidence of Pakistan's defeat in Operation Sindoor is emerging. Latest satellite photos released to news agency APTN by Maxar Technologies shows widespread damage to strategic Pakistani air bases. And these images give you an exact sense of how Pakistan's defense infrastructure was damaged in Operation Sindoor. These are the images that we are playing out for you to help you understand the damage that we have been able to inflict, the manner in which we were able to hit at the Pakistani air bases. First is the Sindoor Air Base. This was very, very critical. The damage that was done to the runways, to the infrastructure that was completely decimated and disabled. Next, let's take a look at what happened at Bholari. It was scorched, shattered and rendered useless after India's precision strikes. Let's shift our focus to Jacobabad. Visible damage to the hangars, extremely important. This is where we were able to damage their hangars. These were strategic structures that we were able to strike. Let's also shift our focus and talk about Mushaf and the damage that we were able to inflict here. The entry points to this area was completely destroyed when we carried out our precision strikes. Let's also talk about another important installation, another important airbase, the Nur Khan Air Base. Critical damage was done to Nur Khan Air Base's runways and their infrastructure was disabled after India carried out the strikes. In a striking display of maritime dominance, Indian Navy's INS Vikrant has reportedly played a crucial role in deterring Pakistani aerial ambitions during the recent escalation. INS Vikrant-led carrier battle group operated freely and without challenge in the North Arabian Sea. Its overwhelming presence effectively put Pakistan's fighter fleet to the Makran coast in Balochistan, preventing any meaningful aerial maneuvers. This operational superiority showcases the strategic edge India's indigenous aircraft carrier brings to the entire region, reinforcing deterrence and asserting control over critical sea lanes. India's Navy's presence close to Pakistan's coast is part of the ongoing Operation Sindoor, a military operation against terrorists, their launch pads, training centers and handlers that are operating from Pakistan. What we are playing out on the screens is a map. It's a representation of the positioning of the INS Vikrant. Let me quickly also share some details that you are looking at the moment. April 30th, 2025, INS Vikrant departed from Karwar. 9th of May 2025, the targets were locked by the Indian Navy and Karachi was also on that list. Great synergy was observed between our three forces. Let me also go across to the guests. These are experts joining us on the broadcast who will help us decode the precision strikes that we carried out and the impact of that. Because remember, we're discussing this situation where India has already hit. There are images, never before seen satellite images that prove the point that we were trying to make, that we can hit here. That's exactly what we've done. But we wanted to only engage the terrorists, their terror dens. It was the Pakistani army that engaged, that tried to attack India's military installations, and we had to retaliate. We have Colonel Utkarsh Rathod, defense expert, joining us on the broadcast, along with Group Captain Mr. Augustine Vinod. We have another defense expert, Lieutenant General Suyal, on the broadcast as well. Let me first begin with you, Lieutenant General Suyal. This is extremely important, the images, the satellite images, because they tell you about the damage that we were able to inflict on the Pakistani side. And these are very important critical installations that we are talking about. This coming out at this point is more proof of how we were able to completely disable Pakistan, their air defense, their ground defense, that we were able to breach and hit with precision.
Swati, thank you so much. It's not Lieutenant General Suyal, it is Lieutenant Suyal. I'm an
All
ex-Indian Navy officer. And welcome, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sincere apologies that the lady called me Lieutenant General Suyal in front of all of you. See, Swati, the issue is that this is not the issue. We already have the capability to hit, because of our BrahMos missiles, deep inside Pakistan. It is not that we have actually targeted the nuclear installation. It is that psychological impact on Pakistan that we have the ability to attack the nuclear asset. It is that psychological impact which made Pakistan retreat from this position where Pakistan was. Now, Swati, the issue is not this, that we have attacked Pakistan's nuclear installation. Issue is that why Pakistan is angry, because we had initially not attacked any military bases. We had only done precision strike against the terrorist groups, if you remember. That was JEM, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. So there is the need to understand the chemistry between the old boys group, which is the power central of the Pakistan Army and the civilian government. So there is a need to understand this nexus, that why Pakistan is trying to shield Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and taking offensive action against India, despite we had not touched the military installations or any civilian infrastructure. So this is the question. And there is a very, very, very unique reason to it. There is an equation to it which we need to understand.
The equation, I believe was visible, Colonel Rathod, when we saw the Pakistani officials of the police and the army paying their tributes to the terrorists. When we saw how terrorists came together to celebrate as if this was some sort of a victory for Pakistan and the entire terror nexus and ecosystem. So that unique chemistry that Lieutenant Suyal is talking about is visible to the entire world.
Yeah, Swati, that was a big stupidity which Pakistan did. That for a cremation of funeral prayer of a terrorist, it tarnished its image to the entire world. It's a very, very stupid thing they could do. It could have been done in private also. Anyway, we're talking about the impact which we had on Pakistan. There are actually three major impacts which we had on Pakistan. On the night 6 and 7, which when we struck their terror infrastructure, including 3 terror headquarters, that left Pakistan absolutely unnerved. And then we went for their air defense system, and 10th you all have seen the way we went in for their air bases. And my God, those air bases, Pakistan even to lie. I mean, it requires lots of shamelessness to lie thereafter when the satellites are watching you, entire world is watching you, you are showing these transparencies. So there is no iota of doubt what we have done. And I'm very happy as an Indian that we did it with lots of finesse, lots of style and lots of precision. Pakistan, we performed laparoscopic surgery, so to say.
Let me bring in Lieutenant Suyal. So there are two ways or two levels on which we are busting Pakistan's propaganda and narrative. One, of course, are the satellite images that tell you what was the status of their runways and their infrastructure before the precision strikes and after we carried out those strikes. And two, the fact that the Prime Minister himself went to the Adhampur base also was driving forth the point that you were not able to inflict any damage. So stop lying. Stop telling the world that you were able to do anything to India.
Absolutely, Swati. First of all, we need to appreciate the stupidity of Air Marshal Aurangzeb. Air Marshal Aurangzeb on live, the public conference, he accepted that it was the tactical brilliance of Pakistan Army to do Pulwama. This is, you must have seen that Pakistan often accuses us that we should have gone for international investigation for Kashmir. You tell me when it has happened that we have gone for international investigation. When Israel, the Hamas attacked Israel, did we go for international investigation? When, Osama bin Laden attacked, 9/11 attacks, did we go for international investigation? What kind of world we are living in? Do we invite the rapists? Do we invite the murderers? Invite that please investigate that you have done murder, you have committed this crime. What kind of this logic is being given by Pakistanis? We have
don't they often resort to that, Lieutenant Soyal? They take some foreign journalists to the so-called border areas to tell them, look, there are no terror infrastructure or dens here. But the entire world has seen that one face of terror that nobody will forget, Osama bin Laden, who was found on Pakistani soil by the Americans. So even the world needs to be wary.
Swati, see, the chemistry which I was talking about, the equation of Pakistan Army is very unique. If you give me time, I would like to explain it.
Yes.
See, there is a Constitution of Pakistan, Article 243, which says that the federal government will have the control over the Pakistani armed forces with president as its supreme commander. That is Article 243. Then Article 244 says that military officials shall protect the constitution and they will not indulge into the political, rivalry or political any kind of activity. That is Pakistan's constitution. But what Pakistan does is they apply extra constitutional technique to bypass this. Imagine entire constitutional assembly after independence, Government of India Act came into play, cabinet mission plan came into play. So many people sat together, created a constitution, and Pakistan Army has found a loophole. They have created an express way to bypass constitution. What they do is they have created a word called provincial constitutional order. At night, whenever Pakistani Army general feels that today he is not happy with the government, he simply takes his army and executes the military coup, arrests the prime minister, and releases provincial constitutional order (PCO).
Right.
What this PCO does is that it suspends the Pakistani constitution immediately, and it bars all the court of the country, including Supreme Court, from questioning the army's military coup. Now, under this PCO, the Supreme Court judges takes a new oath. And now, once they take a new oath, this provincial constitutional order is presented in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court validate it, citing the doctrine of necessity. Now, what is this doctrine of necessity? It is nowhere written in the Pakistani constitution. All right? It is a judicial interpretation, okay, which empowers the courts to validate the Pakistani's military coup in order to bring stability in the Pakistan country.
It sounds like a doctrine of doom for Pakistan, because Colonel Rathod, perhaps that's the reason why their Prime Minister looked so helpless and had to thank Asim Munir, who was not visible anywhere, who was, according to reports, hiding in some bunkers when the precision strike was happening. But perhaps that's the kind of helplessness that the political leadership in Pakistan has to go through, that they have to thank a man like Asim Munir who brought this upon them.
Swati, you are very right that this misfortune was actually brought them on by Munir himself, because Munir actually is the architect of Pahalgam massacre. And thereafter what followed, the India's response followed. So there is a very unfortunate situation in Pakistan society and political establishment, that the Munir should have been sacked for this, but he is getting scot-free. And if you think that his tenure is going to end very soon in November, and there are clear indications that he'll prevail upon Shahbaz Sharif for another extension. So this man is going to be at the helms for another 3 years. And this makes me to say that the danger for India has not gone. Pakistan will again come back with this. So we cannot afford to loosen our guard.
We know that Pakistan cannot be trusted, and there are no two ways about it. Perhaps that's the reason why the intent of the government was also made clear, that any future act of terror will be seen as an act of war. And that's the reason why our armed forces are saying that this operation is not over. This operation is ongoing. The ceasefire is also an understanding. It's not an agreement. We've just hit the pause button for now. But if there are misadventures in the future, if Pakistan resorts to that, we're going to hit back with equal force, perhaps more. Lieutenant Soyal, one other thing that has not changed in Pakistan. Of course, these satellite images tell you that the military installations, the runways or the infrastructure have been damaged before and after. The pictures make it clear. But one thing that has not changed. Even before the precision strikes, the terrorists were celebrated in Pakistan. They were getting tributes and salutes, and that continues. Look at the misfortune of the people of Pakistan, that they have to put up with this army, with this political leadership, such an establishment that pays tribute to the terrorists, participates in their funeral procession. So that certainly has not changed.
Swati, again, there is an equation to it. See, it is the Pakistan's doctrine to attain strategic depth in India. And Pakistan has understood that through conventional warfare, it can never defeat the Indian army, as was evident in Operation Sindoor. So what the ISI's policy is, bleed India through 1,000 cuts. And for this, he needs proxy war actors. So Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, they act as a buffer between Pakistan and international sanctions. That is why Pakistan supports these proxy war groups to create unrest in Kashmir, so that when tomorrow international agencies say something to Pakistan army, they can easily deny and say that they are not us. They are the Mujahids. They are the freedom fighters. So that is why these Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, they work as buffer for Pakistan army. And since they work as a buffer for Pakistan army, China, acts as a buffer between the sanction of Maulana Masood Azhar and international agencies.
Right.
So it is that you hold my pant, I will hold your pant, and that is how we both will survive. So that is the doctrine. That is why these terrorist groups are very important for Pakistan and its survival. And
that they've admitted to,
misfortune is that
they have admitted to that, isn't it, Lieutenant Soyal? Their defense minister has done this for them. He first said that we've been doing the dirty work of West for several decades. Then he also, in another interview, said that the relatives of these terrorists continue to live in Pakistan. So they are still being provided the shelter and the safe haven. What does that tell you about a nation like Pakistan? Will it be able to handle? It calls itself a victim of terrorism, and to a certain extent, it's true. Terror strikes is something Pakistan has faced. Then you have the Balochis opening another front. Can Pakistan deal with it? Lieutenant Soyal.
Swati, see, the issue is, yes, Swati, the issue is that these terrorist groups are very much required for the survival of Pakistan army. It is not Pakistan which has a Pakistan army. It is the Pakistan army which has a country. So Pakistan army has held Pakistan, as a slave. So they are feeding on the blood and soul of Pakistanis, and Pakistanis are not able to understand this. So to ensure their survival, what Pakistani army has done, that they have created an imaginary adversary named as India. If you see history,
right,
we have created 931, we have created Bangladesh. If we wanted, we could have had, broadened our Siliguri corridor. Imagine we are making someone king. We are making Awami League the king of Bangladesh, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. We could not have had taken some sort of land.
And the precision strikes also were a message, isn't it, Lieutenant Soyal and Colonel Rathod? I have to wrap up, but the precision strikes were also a message that, look, this is where we can hit. That's our capability and our might. But we chose to hit the terror dens. You decided that you wanted to engage, and we had to retaliate. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for your perspective.